Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host, Vinny Mishra, and we have a really interesting story. Mazda is still considering bringing back a rotary sports car. It's officially being considered, it's on the table. The RX Revival would have a longitudinally mounted two-rotor engine. We've got an article and information over here from Motor One. We're also going to use a little bit of information we also used about a month ago when we did Mazda's sales figures, when we went over those. Let's take a look. This is a vehicle we saw recently. We saw it at the Tokyo Auto Show. We know Mazda has been playing with rotaries for a very long time. We know they've tried to do it and use it for electrification as a hybrid or as a range extender. We do know, obviously, with the Toyota Subaru Mazda partnership, that has strengthened the company, and they are planning to save internal combustion engines, as we have here, by making them run cleaner. We know Toyota has their eggs in every basket when it comes to electrification. But this is a bit interesting. Subaru, they did preview the next generation hybrid Boxster, but Mazda has an exciting prototype for the two-rotor rotary engine. Looking at this vehicle, this is the concept vehicle that we have, and I think honestly it looks beautiful. Obviously, this is not going to be how it looks when it comes to production. We're obviously missing so many things here. We do have like mirrors and things like that, but we're missing quite a lot from this vehicle. But although we don't have any specifics, we know that they are toying around with them. They have been toying around with them as a generator, as a range extender. But this RX, which is the potential here, that's the engine that would be inside of it. This isn't a range extender. This is not a hybrid motor. This is the engine. An internal combustion engine being a rotary engine. This is interesting for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it's been a long time since we've seen an RX-7, or an RX-8, or just really any rotary engine. A lot of news in 2023 when they talked about, them toying around with them. We've seen it with the range extenders and things like that. But we haven't really seen anything come to fruition that has been, other than the range extender vehicle, which was a compliance vehicle, we haven't really seen anything come to fruition that's promising, that's like, dang, this is really going to happen. Looking with the iconic SP, we have some numbers for it here, being, with 365 horsepower, twice the power, the MX-5. I mean, this is really interesting, because it's very unlikely that we would see the iconic SP and, the model up there and things like that. It's very unclear whether we would see an announcement for that soon. But although we have pictures of the iconic SP here, which I really like, and although it's unclear whether it would reach production, and if it was to happen, it wouldn't happen soon. It really wouldn't. It would be a bit interesting, because if we go back to when we did our Mazda report for the sales figures for April, Mazda was one of the brands that was killing it. However, and keep in mind, it's kind of a halo model. It's a low volume seller. Mazda knows that. But Mazda 3 saw sales grow. Naturally aspirated turbo models have been a big seller. CX-5 did still pretty well. CX-50, CX-7, we have the CX-90, the CX-70 coming. CX-90 was doing very well. But when we look at something here, the MX-5, the Miata, famous, love the car, looks great, great handling, fun to drive, super reliable. It's also one of the only cars at which you can tune and it's still reliable after that. It's a tuner's dream. I mean, the MX-5, the Miata, it's one of those cars where it's like, when you tell somebody, it's like, hey, I'm going to buy an MX-5 and put like 1,000 horsepower in it. Most people, when you tell them that, hey, I'm going to buy a car and put 1,000 horsepower in it, they laugh at you. But when you buy an MX-5 and say that it is it is actually a thing that can actually happen. Is it practical? No. But is it something that can happen? Yes. When we look at the MX-5 numbers, they're down. I mean, the MX-5 numbers, they're down. When we look year to year, month to month, we have a little bit of growth here, but they're significantly down. And this is a vehicle that wasn't already a big seller. But when that vehicle is going down 56.5%, 57%, this is supposed to be one of the most famous sports cars. This is something that put Mazda on the map, and obviously a sports car isn't practical for a lot of reasons, right? More people, I'm not saying this is supposed to sell as much as the Mazda 3 or the CX-5 or the CX-50, because it's not, right? It's never going to do that. It's not what it's supposed to be. But the super hardcore, the enthusiasts, that, what made the Mazda interesting, what made Mazdas kind of special, even though they're not selling a lot of vehicles for this specific model, this is a very core consumer to Mazda. This vehicle holds a lot of weight, holds a lot of heritage. It means a lot to a lot of people. Even Mazda owners who don't own an MX-5, they're like, the MX-5, it's a cool car, love it. MX-5 sales have been down for quite a while. They've been going down for quite a while. For a lot of reasons. People wanting SUVs and trucks. MX-5's not being practical. MX-5's have never really been speed demons, but they always have been a little bit slower than like a BRZ or GR86 or the competition, and so a lot of people have been asking, including myself, for the MX-5 to have maybe a slightly bigger engine or a turbocharger, which would give it a lot of power, but also too, Mazda engineers have argued, and I can see the point that, having a naturally aspirated engine, just the throttle mapping and just the balance of the car, there's things that can change, right? But when your core car, something that made your consumers fall in love with Mazda, right? What put Mazda in, what every little kid thinks of when they think of Mazda, this is the car that, one of the cars are really responsible for car culture, especially JDM car culture, all over the world, but in America as well. When this number is down, you're losing a lot of interest. And obviously they can refine the Mazda, the MX-5, they can refine it, they can do things to it. But when you ask most enthusiasts, right, you think of Mazda 3s and the old Mazda Speeds and stuff, which were cool cars. And the new Mazda 3 with the turbo is really, really nice. But when you ask most enthusiasts and what, most kids, like, what do they think was, like, the coolest Mazdas? Some of them will say MX-5, but most of them are going to say the RX-7, the Rotaries. And the point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of segments, right, that Mazda could be competing in. They could abandon this segment entirely. Just let the MX-5 sit there and keep selling that one. They'd still sell them. Obviously, this segment doesn't make them a lot of money. But this segment doesn't make them a lot of money directly. Indirectly, this brings people into the showrooms. This keeps people interested in Mazda. So those people, when they come in and they realize, oh, I have a family and kids, I can't buy an RX-5. But you can sell them CX-5, CX-50, CX-90, whatever, right? But to get those hardcore fans and the enthusiasts to still, the DNA, that core DNA of Mazda, which I think they really need to make sure they don't lose. If you kind of think about it, especially with the current world of cars, the current world of electrification, people not wanting to go to electrification, full electrification, even partial electrification, and with the continuation of seeing so many cars go electrified or full EV, now, when there's not a lot of enthusiast cars really left, when the Supra is a BMW, when the GR86 is obviously just a BRZ, but it's a great car, now would be a really good time. And they might not have long to do it. This isn't a car that might last them forever. But now would be a really good time, even if they could do it for 3 years, 5 years, maybe close to a decade. One final hurrah. A true JDM sports car, and it's a Rotary. Like I said, when you really look at it, and when you look at, like I said, the way that consumers are buying cars and how they don't like electrification, especially in the United States. And when you look at the average car price for new cars in the United States, this is going to be an expensive car, but this would be in a price range which would be in the average price range, 40 to 50,000 or even more. It's tough. I don't work for Mazda and I don't do business. I know it's extremely hard because there's R&D, development. You have to change the way factories are done, and parts suppliers, and showrooms, and service centers, and things like that. But even if they were to take a loss on this, I think this would bring so many people back to Mazda. It would keep so many people interested in Mazda, and it would bring them so many new customers that, like I said, if there's a time to do this, maybe we'll see this as a full EV in the future, but if there is a time to do this and bring back a Rotary before it's too late, right now is the best time. And I think these next 2 to 3 years, this would be the best time to do that. And I think they would do really, really well. And it would not only help them sell this car, it would help them sell their SUVs, and maybe even bring some sales into the MX-5, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who love this car that come in. They're going to want a sports car, right? You know, your heart wins a lot of the time until you kind of realize some stuff. They drive this car. Maybe they realize it's out of their price range, things like that. But they still want a sports car, something fun, reliable, gives them the spirit of driving a sports car. Selling an MX-5. It's not bad when you think about it. Let me know what you guys and girls think of this. Obviously, as a big Mazda fan myself, a long time Mazda owner, still owning multiple Mazdas. They've all been great. Let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see a Rotary? Would you like to see it just as a Rotary with a hybrid, partial electrified, fully electrified? Is it too little too late? Is this even something that's worth it? Is it worth Mazda selling like this? Selling something like this. Is anything that I just said, you think it's even applicable to just anything? Selling other models, selling this models, and ultimately, it's been a long time since we've seen a Rotary, or even a Mazda 3 Speed, or any Mazda Speed, anything like that. Is the interest still even there? Or just like we see with the MX-5 numbers and how we've seen it continue for many years, is it too little too late? Let me know what you guys think down below. That's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone.